Ade, what are you doing?
I দরজা খুলে যাইতেছে bro.
Yo,
You are
Apple
free
এর
for now.
দেখছোস?
Put the fan in
M1 chip.
front of it. Put the fan in front of it. Put the fan in front
Nah,
of the.
দরজা. But it should be closing, bro. It's a door.
Maybe
And then
maybe
you
this is the clip, like University of Technology Sydney student tries to figure out how to close a door with a video. A video tutorial on closing a door. I like that.
Three, two, one, and we're live. Welcome to TiffinTime, a show hosted by Srejan Wilson students. This is a show where we get deeper into the lives of those we spend half of our lives with. That's right, we spend so much time with our teachers and our peers, but do we actually know who these people are? If your answer is no, then this is the show for you. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Hit the notification bar, like, and share because we need the support. And keep yourself updated on our next episodes and everything. And without further ado, let me introduce our next guest for episode 2. We have some very well-known names for our next episode. First of all, we have Mr. Fardeem Munir. He was, I think, the batch of 18, if I'm correct.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and he was most well-known, I guess, for his academic performances. At one point, he was actually a math teacher of pure maths at our school. I think it was class 8 or 9. So yeah, he was studying pure math and teaching at the same time. Next, we have one of the most respected sportsmen of our school, Adeeb Khan. I remember he was one of the best captains, the most respected captains that we had for our football team. And believe me, I'm your short kaisa bhaipatam. Like if he shoots the ball, you don't want to be in front of him. You just want to get out of the way.
Thank you.
And our final guest is Morud Ishmam, who is an honorary alumni of our school, if I say so. He always wanted to study.
I'm just third wheeling here.
No, he told me he wanted to be in our school. He wanted to apply for our school for a long time, and he actually spent most of his time with students from our school. So yeah, we'll just name him as our honorary alumni for this episode. He told me he's interested in physics and computer science and philosophy. I don't know much about him, but that's what this episode is for. We're going to get to know much about all of you. So let's get started. How are you guys?
Yeah,
Excellent.
hanging in there.
আমার কাছে actually অনেক মজা লাগতেছে যে we are guests on a podcast. I'm super happy for this.
Right. I forgot to mention the three of them also have their own podcast. It's called Idea Khichuri. If you want to check it out, I'll leave the link in the description below. They have their Instagram, they have their YouTube, so you should go check it out. It's really fun. Oh, we have a fourth guest as well.
Yeah, fifth guest. I'm already
bro, the cutest guest. Oh my god.
Oh no,
so adorable.
So I want to get started straight off. You're all graduates and you're all into 3 different countries. I know Ishmam's in Canada. He's at UBC. I know Fardeem is in America. He's at Northwestern, if I'm correct. And Adeeb is in Australia, but I'm not sure which university he goes to. Which university do you go to?
I go to UTS, University of Technology, Sydney.
Cool. So what's it like for you guys in terms of living in different countries and having your own podcast as well?
Sorry, you cut off there for me a little bit.
How's it like?
Ahnaf, go ahead.
Yeah, how's it like for you guys, studying in different countries, in 2 different countries, and having your own podcast and keeping up with that as well?
আচ্ছা ইসমাম তুই প্রথম গেছিলি না বিদেশে পড়াশোনা করতে? Were you the first out of all of us?
I guess I'm batch 17. I guess you guys are batch 18, right? So
আচ্ছা
yeah.
তাহলে তুই শুরু কর
Yeah, so for me it was unlike most people's experiences. I didn't have a huge like homesickness and stuff like that. I just had fun when I came here. Amader ekhane they have a 1 month onboarding thing sort of. We have like not 1 month, 2 weeks I think. Yeah, 1 month would be too much. I think it's 2 weeks. They call it jumpstart. We they basically do some orientation, but mostly it's sort of like partying. I'm not a party kind of guy, so I didn't party, but I had my own sort of like partying. I got to meet a lot of like cool people, make a lot of new friends. um I was just so excited to be at UBC and like how awesome the place was and how amazing everyone was here that I sort of forgot about home in some sense, which was good. It only kicked in like 6 7 months in, so yeah, no homesickness. Uh, but yeah, I guess that's about it.
for shit for shit Fardeem Javi.
Adi, you should go, and then you should also tell the listeners how before going to university you took a book of mine and never returned it.
We're going back to that.
Right, cool. So
Had
for
to
those
put
of
him on
you,
the spot right there. You know what I mean?
he's done this to me several times, and it's getting kind of annoying. I'm not gonna lie. So I am a book thief apparently. ফারদিম আমাকে আমি ইউনি যাওয়ার আগে আমাকে একটা বই দিছিল একদিন আমার বাসায় এসে চা খাচ্ছিলাম আমরা আমাকে একটা বই দিয়ে গেছে তো এখন I think it's been like 2.5 years the book has been lost. I never I don't even remember the name of the book. But Fardeem lost one of his favorite books. Like basically, that's the book thief story. But in terms of university, আমি আসছি অস্ট্রেলিয়াতে 2019 সালে. Before that, I had I was sort of lost. Ahnaf যেটা নিয়ে বলতেছিলি একটু আগে. I was also quite very lost in terms of what I wanted to do at uni. So high school, I initially applied to Canada. I applied to Australia as well, and I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to study medicine, right? So Canada, I applied to U of T and UBC and a bunch of unis, and I got accepted to a bunch of these unis. Then one day I sort of woke up and I was like, I don't really want to be a doctor. It wasn't something I could pursue. And my parents being doctors, I sort of saw the amount of passion for the profession, and I didn't have that, and I knew that. So I was like, I can't do it. So something else. I took 6 months break. আমি ঢাকায় ছিলাম. I did an internship there, and then I picked Australia. So এখানে আসছি, and then I've been here for around about 2 years হবে এখন. So the first year, similar to Ahnaf, অনেক জোশ ছিল. The first year was wild. First year is always chill if you're coming to uni. Most of the stuff that you learn, you will have some background in. And to me, onek party tarty, if that's what you want to do, you can do that. If you want to meet a bunch of cool people, you can meet that as well, right? Onek those opportunities. And then এখন second year we're doing this podcast called Idea Khichuri, which is I think the second part of your question, right? Well, the background of Idea Khichuri goes quite back, to be honest, because Fardeem and I, around the same time where I stole his book, we also had the idea for the podcast. We didn't have a name for it yet. It was something like Brown Boys with Big Ideas. Brown Boys, maybe had something. And then তারপরে the idea stagnant ছিল. Like আমরা দুজনই we went off with our own stuff. আমরা কেউ এটা নিয়ে চিন্তা করিনি. And then randomly আমি ওর সাথে কথা বলতে বলতে আমার মনে হলো যে পডকাস্টের জন্য coincidentally তখনও I was having a conversation with Ishmam. We were talking about, I can't remember up. I think he put up a status on his Facebook, which was about if you not talk for a while, hit me up or I'll knock you or something like that. And for that reason, I'm possible to see. So none of it was planned. This is what I'm trying to get forward. And ওর সাথে কথা বলার পর we were like, hey man, this is আমি আর ফারদিম আমার একটা friend একটা podcast করতেছি. Would you be interested? Ishmam was down. And then that's how Idea Khichuri started. We brainstormed the idea. And then now we're 4 episodes down. We've got a Facebook. We've got Instagram. We'll plug all of that stuff. Um, it's been a journey. It's been
Toba,
a
toba.
it's,
Toba, toba karo. Good.
yeah. Shout out to Farhana Miss. Sorry about that. It's been a journey. Fardeem.
Yeah, man. So I guess like after graduating, I always had a plan of taking a year off just to explore some of my interests. Had some loose ends that I wanted to tie up, and just like wanted to observe myself, working without some sort of external goal, right? So in your school, you obviously have exams at the end of the year. You have A levels at the end of the year. I just want to see like, hey, like if I had complete control over my time, like what would I actually do? And so I did that for a year. Had some very interesting experiences. Developed a lot of like the ideas that a lot of my interests that I sort of go deep into around education and personal finance and other stuff like health that I'm really interested in. But spent around like I want to say 4 to 6 months at Dhaka University during that gap year. And I took the admission exam, I got in. That was an absolutely fascinating experience for me, just going from an English medium background to being surrounded by people who were not from that background. Makes you realize like sort of the privilege that you sort of have to be lucky enough to go to an English medium school, some of the ideas that you're exposed to. And very soon after that, I was, lucky to get into Northwestern. So yeah, like around 2019. Yes, no. 2019, yeah. So around September of 2019, came to Northwestern. And yeah, I mean, I guess like the family piece, I think totally when you're not with family, you sort of understand their importance and their centrality in your life. Um, but my I just finished my freshman year just ended a couple months ago, and my freshman year was like extremely packed. As soon as I came on campus, within like 2 weeks, I joined a startup. Worked on that startup for like a year. That startup got acquired in the summer this year. Joined another startup in the summer. Worked towards that, and also like met a lot of interesting people, had a lot of interesting conversations, and I feel like it's just like it's a testament to like that saying that you're the average of the five people you surround yourself with the most. And at a place like Northwestern, you have a lot of incredible people with like who are really intelligent, really passionate about their subjects. And I just feel like having spent the last year with them, the growth that I've seen in myself has truly been incredible. And yeah, I can't wait for like the next 3 years to come and just double down and really take advantage of the opportunity. And yeah, on the idea Khichuri front, I guess there isn't much to say. Like what Adeeb said, um, personally, like Adeeb and I, we go pretty way back. Like in grade 9 in Sturgeon Wilson, we would have break periods where, we'd be debating religion, about capitalism and socialism and all this other stuff. And all our friends would be like, what are these two guys on, And we just have like this, like thing I love about Adeeb and Ishmam. They both have a curiosity of understanding how the world works and trying to figure it out from first principles. And the podcast is really like a space where we can do that.
I think I forgot to talk anything about the podcast. I went. To, I just talked about missing family. I guess because I miss family now. I don't know.
That's facts, bro. That's facts.
But yeah, for the podcast, I think it was just Adeeb just hit me up one day, and we just started talking. at one point Adeeb was like, bro, this is such deep conversation and we haven't talked in ages. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, this is the type of conversation I like having. And he was like, how about having this conversation in front of people? And I was like, yeah, why not? And interestingly enough, I was also thinking about this. Like, I was wondering, hey, I have like all these deep conversations with my friends. What if it was a podcast that people go watch? And because Adib said that, and I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. Meeting on few like-minded people, talking to them about life and stuff. So yeah, that's been fun. I look forward to our episodes. So time management isn't that big of an issue. Uh, it's just we have one slot of I think 2 to 3 hours that we can like sort of get the episode out by, because Adibir সকাল হয়, I think Bangladesh time 8টায়, or like that's when he's ready to do the episode. Bangladesh time সকাল 8টায়, and ফারদিমের রাত হয়ে যায় Bangladesh time 10টায়. So it's like that's we just have this time and we have to make the most of it, so we just have that time slot ready every week and we just get it done তখনই.
Okay, so we have some background on that. I want to get back to what you said. You already covered a bit of the next question I was going to have, which is, what about the people who have no idea what they want to do or what they want to study, right? Because I know for a long time I was really confused. There's one thing being good at what being good at subjects. You can be good at math, or you can be good at physics or chemistry or whatever, or economics or whatever. But most people don't even know like what they're gonna do with that. So should you be better at? Should you do what you're good at, or should you pursue what you're passionate about? I think that's a really tough question that I've been battling for a long time.
I think
Yep.
Fardeem, do you want to take it or what?
Yeah, bro. Okay, this is my jam. This is my jam. I'm about to go off.
Lighting.
So yeah, it's a very interesting question. I feel like this whole dichotomy of doing something that you're good at versus doing something that you're passionate about is a false dichotomy. I think this whole idea of you should follow your passion is a relatively new concept in the story of humanity. You only see it show up like in human literature in around like the 1900s, maybe actually later than that, right? So 1930s ish. And it predicates on this idea that you're born with a innate desire to do something, and your entire life you're supposed to figure out what that thing is. So a good book that I feel does a really good job at treating the subject is So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport. And the basic idea of the book is that people really don't value, say, certain job types or, like a certain profession, but rather they value mastery of an area. They want to feel like they're getting better at stuff. They value autonomy, having control over their own time, and they value something else that I forgot. But basically, the idea is you can get those things by getting really good at a subject, right? So, like with my story, right now I'm studying computer science. I'm very passionate about building software, but I didn't always end up like this, right? If you see me now and see with like the rigor that I talk about software with, you think, oh, like this guy always knew what he wanted to do. And I did started programming very early at fifth grade and stuff. But I took a detour of doing graphics design. I took a detour and studied philosophy for a long stretches of time during my O levels. And then I did stuff on like product management and so on and so forth, right? And I feel like at one point I was like, yeah, programming is a thing I'm sort of kind of interested in, because it's not like, oh, there's something that you absolutely hate, like I don't know, like for whatever reason someone like really dislikes cooking, and you magically give them a pill that makes them really really good at it. But if they inherently dislike it, then you can't really go anywhere with that. But you explore a bunch of stuff, and then you find something that you're interested in, and you build your skills, so you gain carrier capital. So that word is very important. Carrier capital is stuff you can trade with other people to get stuff that you really want, like autonomy or like money, if that's what you want, right? Because at the end of the day, that's really what the game is about, right? So one of my friend, he works at a very new and exciting startup around payments infrastructure, and he was like, dude, like I'm not really like passionate about the payment space, but I love working here because everyone around me is super super smart and super super hardworking, and I just love working with people who are insanely more talented than I am, and I could work anywhere on anything as long as I'm around people that I'm really passionate, like who are really really talented and I get along with. And for most people, I feel like that is more important than a specific profession. So around what you said about like school, I think school gives you a very limited view of what's possible in the world, right? So like one topic that I'm very interested in is angel investing, or like being an investor in early stage startups. I can like go deep into it like later in the episode, but it's something that you don't find in a school textbook, right? And so how would you know that you're going to be interested in it? And there's nothing in the school curriculum that if you mastered, you'd be a good angel investor. Like, yeah, like investing, you might think like money, but it has nothing to do with money. It has more to do with like having taste, and like understanding like markets, and sort of like economics. It's sort of like psychology, sort of like understanding how people work, right? And so like I think university is a great time where you can shadow different people and see like different worlds that are very interesting. And then again, once you find something that's kind of sort of interesting to you, you double down on it, and then you get really really skilled at it, at which point you can trade your skill for other stuff that you want, like autonomy, like mastery, like money, like anything you want, right? And you might choose to become like an investment banker who makes a lot of money, and then you work for like 10 years and you save aggressively, you cook your own meals every day, you don't eat out, you don't buy the new PS5 or Xbox, whatever that's coming out, and then you retire at 30. You basically retire at 30 and you don't work anymore. You, like, I don't know, open up like a coffee shop or something. But yeah, that's sort of my spiel on it.
Fardeem is super passionate about it. Um, and yeah, there you go, passion. But I think I agree with Fardim. I think on most of it, uh, interests, interests and passions and everything is really weird because how do you know what you're passionate at if you haven't done most things in the world? I think we can't take it. There's this whole aspect of what are you interested in right now, right? And you sort of go there because that's your intuition saying that, oh, let's try something out. You try it out, you see if you like it, you see if you don't like it, and then you sort of build a picture of it. Um, Slowly. Like me, Fardeem, Adeeb, we're also figuring stuff out. Like we don't have all the answers, neither does almost anyone in the world. Like right now, skule thakle, I think this is like something that you think is true. Everyone who's older than me or in is somehow like, in university or a teacher somehow knows something that I don't. They do have more experience in general from which they can draw from, but they don't necessarily have something like secret from the universe that they know, so they know what they're doing is right and blah blah blah. I
Hmm.
think a question that helps me to figure out what I want to do is sort of what I want to do in life, and that's not necessarily what it's not as like shallow as it sounds. It's not what occupation do I want to do with my life. It's how I want to my life to be in some sense, right? Like immediately চিন্তা করলে you might think, oh আমি অনেক টাকা চাই, but আমি এটা চাই, but আমি ওইটা চাই. But if you keep asking yourself why, you get to a point where you're like, oh, I want this sort of fulfillment or something like that. Like for me, a big thing is, and I would have never found this out unless I got the job that I'm doing right now. The thing that I really really want that I figured out is like I need some sort of intellectual like মানে what's the word? Like I need an intellectual challenge, like every day. Like if আমাকে কেউ বলে যে they're going to give me $1 million a day for doing nothing but lounging around, and I could do nothing but lounging around, like আমি ওই টাইমে কোনো কিছু করতে পারবো না, that interests me, it would it would make me miserable. Like I don't care about the money at that point, right? What I care about is that intellectual challenge. And right now, my job, there is no intellectual challenge. It's sort of like manually do this, do that, do that. And I don't like doing that. That's why I like doing the podcast. There's like a challenge every day almost. Like কেমনে ভিডিওটা edit করবো, কেমনে clip বানাবো, কোন জায়গা থেকে clip বানাবো. Like there's lots of interesting problems there. And I like that aspect, problem solving. So I think you can ask yourself these questions and you get deeper answers. Some of it is just growing up and you sort of see yourself and observe yourself and figure something out, and then you'll know. So I think expecting people to know যে এখনই যে আমি কি করব লাইফে, knowing your occupation to a T, that's not how it works. Like even if you think about like আমাদের podcast Fardeem, Ami and Adeeb, Idea Khichuri, like we didn't plan it like to the T যে এটা এইভাবে হবে এরকম হবে. It sort of just became its own thing slowly, even though it's like still in its like infancy. And I think most things in life is like that. Like life is randomness, and the structure you see is something that you sort of just impose on it. So I don't think you have to necessarily know so much. Just keep on living, honestly.
I think what I would do is
Good advice.
I'd take the job for $1 million, and then I'd work like however much I need to get the million, and then I'd just do what I want. That's the retirement money right there.
Yeah, sure, you could do that. But I'm just saying, like, I guess what I was trying to say is like if you had to lock yourself in, right? Like you couldn't do that. You couldn't just do it a day
Right.
and then never again. If it
Mm.
was something that you'd have to do day in and day out, which is the choice most people have to make, right? যে আমি কি কাজটা করব নাকি do I do something more fulfilling? Let's say someone's like আমার গিটার বাজাইতে অনেক ভালো লাগে, but my parents want me to be a doctor. Should I keep on playing my guitar or should I be a doctor? Um, like honestly, in that particular scenario the question is why not both. At a point you'll be in a crossroad where you're going to be more better equipped to answer that question. আমি সারা জীবন, here's another anecdote. I don't want to take too much of the time, but
That's fine.
আমি যখন university আসি, I didn't know if I wanted to do physics or computer science. Huh. I was very conflicted on it. My parents really badly wanted me to do computer science because job prospects beshi, everything's beshi, and it was something that I was good at and I was givable. Like I liked to, right? So it was almost like a clear choice to just do computer science, but I really wanted to do physics. So আমি ইউবিসিতে আসছি যেখানে physics department and computer science department দুইটা is like really highly rated, so I could do either. First year I took both of them, and then I'm first year physics course, and it was interesting. CS course and I hated it, right?
Right.
And I was like, acha, so it's physics for me. But I also didn't want to let go of CS because it didn't seem that bad. Sorry, first term report. Second term, I had another course that was algorithms and stuff like that. And I did that and I loved CS. And physics, so I also kept on enjoying the stuff I was doing. So second year, I was like, acha, I have to do physics and computer science. Sadly, I didn't get into computer science, but I did more computer science classes. And I kept on enjoying that. Whereas for physics, it was less so a lack of interest and more so me not studying enough. It sort of fell apart because it's like university is like a train that's coming to, squish you and you have to keep running. If you stop keep running, you're done. So we were connected with physics. So in that situation, Like the only reason right now I'm doing CS related stuff is because of the situation of everything that sort of came about out of that weird random things that happened in my life. So it's not necessarily like I still enjoy physics. I would read about physics. I have a special relativity book right here on my desk, right?
Always ready.
Um, so it's you just keep on doing things and it'll sort of make sense. And I think university it is yes very difficult to make a choice যে আমি কোথায় যাব কোন ডিগ্রিতে অ্যাপ্লাই করব, and you just sort of have to do your own research, follow your heart, and just go to places. Maybe keep your options open. If you really know you want to do something, just go do it. Like regrets রাখার কোনো দরকার নেই. Just make decisions and keep building off of it. Like you'll be fine.
Yeah. I think, I mean, in terms of the question of like getting lost, I think সবাই জীবন এক না এক পর্যায়ে you get lost. It's not like anyone goes through life knowing all the answers at every step, at every decision you make, right? And you sort of have to break it down in terms of, I generally think that the reason we become lost is that we have an expectation to have complete information, whereas you want to know that a decision টা আমি যখন করি, you want to know the end point of that. You know that either it's a success or a failure. That never happens in life. হবে না. You have some level of risk. You have generally a relatively high amount of uncertainty. You just have to start things. Just start. So in terms of how I went about it, I did my O levels at Sir John, and then A levels there I had to pick, I think 3 subjects or 4 subjects.
Yeah.
At that time, even I didn't know how many key পড়তে চাইতাম. I've been good at biology and chemistry, and because of that, I and my parents were doctors. Because of that, I've always pursued that medical line, right? But it wasn't something I wanted to do. So I wanted to keep my options open, so I moved to a place where I could do that. I went to IB, where I could have 6 subjects and more time to sort of decide. So ওইটা করার পর is when I sort of came to the decision of what I wanted to do now, right? Which is like a mixture of business and science. So I think the ideal situation when you're lost is, if you need time to make a decision, give yourself time and do the research required to make that decision the most informative you can make it at that point in your life. But do never expect যে আমি এটা করলে is going to be right. And I would just say, when you make decisions, just do it because you genuinely think this is what you want to do. Don't do it because of something other people tell you. Because to me, নিজেকে, you're probably the most likely person who knows yourself better than most. Like I butchered that sentence, but অন্য মানুষের কথা শুনে it's very easy to get like derailed, because there are many people who think on a much higher level than you. There are also many people who think in the same constraints that they're always born with, and you don't know where you fall on that spectrum. It's your job to find that out, and the only way you can do that is by researching, learning new shit, talking to people who are like-minded. Like luckily Fardeem was like, I knew the guy from basically school, right? ও যদি না থাকতো, like I wouldn't have had anyone to talk to about this religious stuff, all this capitalism, and we used to talk about random stuff in class, man. Like math class এ বসে বসে আমাদেরকে টিচার প্যারা দিত because আমরা ক্লাস বাদ দিয়ে এইসব নিয়ে যাচ্ছি. So try to find people like that in anywhere, in any interaction you make. Take a genuine interest in the people around you, and you will find people either who are just as lost as you, or people who've got it a lot more figured out, and then you learn from them. So use your interactions to your advantage. Go out and meet people, do a lot of research. You will find something. And when you do find that something, even if you know that it's not going to work out 100%, say it's like 70%, go for it. Because when you start, like Ishmam said, once you making a decision is better than making no decision. Okay, something is better than nothing in this case, and so you should just go for it. This is just, if you're lost, just go for it. Yeah.
So we just have
I
to
don't know
keep
if this was great advice for people who are lost, but we
So
tried.
the start.
I was so lost. Like I completely relate to that question. Angel Nami just I went all out
Same.
heart emotion, man.
No,
I
it's the
still feel
start.
lost, man. I still feel lost. So
Yeah,
like,
fair enough.
Anaf, I just wanted to like underscore something that Adeeb said about like the importance of taking action, and I'd also add like the importance of having conviction. I feel like a lot of people in our generation like they're not taught to like have an opinion and just see it through,
Hmm.
right? So it's fine. Like yeah, like we all agree. Like I'm like so lost in so many areas of my life. Like maybe not what my degree is, but for every one thing I have figured out, I have like 100 more that I don't. And I think what's important is not to sit there and wallow in despair at all of it. You know what I mean? Like don't kill time. Don't sit there, day after day complaining to your friends how you're so lost, how this is bad, this is bad. Like if you're, say it's like, 1 degree thing, try to say you're, indecisive between say chemistry and psychology. Like find someone who studied those subjects and then like talk to them, have an hour conversation with them. That's better than nothing. And I feel like the importance of always taking action, like people think they can think themselves out of something, but generally the problems they're in are not problems they got into by thinking, right? You never like taught yourself into being lost, right? You just got lost.
Right.
And you should, like instead of thinking yourself out of it, you should take action to get yourself out of it. So once you take action, you're like, okay, now I know this, now I know this, now I know this. And yeah, like I always rage against social media, but I feel like we live in a world of very cheap dopamine hits where every single time you're bored, you can go and watch TikTok, you can go and watch Instagram, you can go and watch YouTube, and you never have to sit with yourself, have those raw emotions. And look, I say this, I'm like the biggest offender, right? I have so many things that I should be thinking about actively, but I'll avoid by going to YouTube, by going to Instagram, and taking in those cheap dopamine hits because that's just how society is structured. But you do that enough, you're gonna be lost. And I feel like there's like a lot of research that has been done on this topic. Like because of social media, people don't have enough time of solitude with themselves, just sitting by themselves, and just thinking about life, just trying to make meaning of all the information that's coming into their lives. And, like you wake up, you check your phone. The last thing you do before going to bed is check your phone. Where is the time? Like even like people used to have to wait in lines. Now people, if they're waiting in lines, they're checking their phones. But no one really waits in lines anymore because they just order on Uber Eats or something, right? And I feel like tactically, if someone wants, a thing to like take away from this episode, whatever question you have, whether it be like, what degree should I do? Like, should I go to a different school? Yada, yada, yada. Should I break up with my girlfriend? You know, take an hour off in your week, go on a long walk, and just think about it for a little bit. And I can assure you, by the end of that hour, you'll have more clarity than you had before the hour started.
Just um, just to add to that, this what Fardeem saying actually works. It's legit stuff. While you're thinking about it, do journal or write about it. Like to me, Mata, if you're having a lot of thoughts in your head, it can get a bit convoluted and a bit complex. It's a good idea to write it down into clear sentences, write a question on a piece of paper and try to answer that question. It's like it's just a form of critical thinking and keep them open-ended questions, right? Also, on the aspect of social media, there is the aspect of depression and how you're always trying to compare yourself with who you see on your news feed. But if you're able to utilize it well, very few people are. I urge you that you try to because it is a reality in our mother generation. We can shit on social media as much as we want. It's not going away. So the best aspect of it, the way I see it, is use it to your advantage. There are many pages on Facebook where they're doing job postings. There's a Facebook page called Doers Den, where basically guys and girls who want to do whatever they want, like freelancing, graphic design bolo, copywriting bolo, starting business ideas. I saw the other day they were looking for funding for a startup. So look for these pages, get into them. There are webinars. There's a lot of development, I think, in this space in Bangladesh of career growth and professional development. There are a few startups that they're doing webinars with high profile entrepreneurs who give advice. Go to these webinars, listen to these webinars, listen to people who've been there, made it, and listen to how they made it. And arekta jinish, which is super important, embrace boredom, man. তুই যে বলছস যে waiting in line, no one's waiting anymore, like that is so true. We're never bored. We're bored while doing something. You're bored while you're texting someone. You're bored while watching Netflix. That's why you're texting someone else on Messenger. Why don't you just sit there for like 10 or 15 minutes or 20 minutes in silence with zero stimulus and see what comes out of your mind? Like, just be there with your thoughts. It is freaking terrifying, but do it. That is the way.
Meditation.
Meditation. By the way, if you want to listen to more about meditation, tune into Idea Khichuri episode 1.
এমন shameless plug. আমি তো সরম পেয়ে গেলাম।
Smoothest shameless plug.
Legit, ঠিক আছে না, but meditation works. এটা I think সবার একটা মানে at least এক মাসের জন্য করা উচিত। No one's going to regret it. Just 10 মিনিটের জন্য be off everything, no music, nothing. Just চুপচাপ বসে থাকো and let your thoughts simmer, man. Like it's pretty rewarding. But yeah, like we've taken a while to answer this question, but
I just want to
tells you how complicated this question is.
It was a very it was a dense question, man.
I just want to round it off with one thing that I think is about trying new things and the social media and internet and everything. I feel like there's so much stuff, there's so much information out there. Ashkal, these people tell you how this is good, how economics is good, how having this new toy is good, or doing this job is good, or whatever. That everyone just goes online, looks at a few minutes of footage, and they make up their own mind. Yeah, this is great. I should definitely do this.
Yeah.
But then they actually do it, and it turns out that it's not something that they really want to do, right? So I feel like having so much information actually destroys trying new things and everything. People have so much reach for everything now, online and everything. So yeah, sometimes you just have to go offline and just try everything yourself and not take other people's word for it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell down below. It's going to be a huge help for us. If you've enjoyed the segment this far, please go follow Idea Khichuri as well. We'll leave their links in the description down below for their YouTube, Facebook, and their Instagram. They're really fun. And don't worry, we have part 2 for this episode airing in the next 3 or 4 days. That should be fun as well. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned and peace.